Should be. Looks connected.
So he's speaking to the meeting.
Think we're going to me first. Let's go.
All right, welcome everyone. My name is Carolyn Cobb. I'm the Deputy City Manager for the City of Mountlake Terrace, and I also wear another hat. I'm the Board of Directors here at Lake Ballinger Center, and I just wanted to give a shout out for them. This is a city-owned building. We have a partnership with Public Works Center, Lake Ballinger Center. And about how you come to the tour, and there's a QR code to learn more about their programs. And in the next month or so, they will be starting a strategic plan about what adults in our community are looking for here. So keep an eye out for that. And the room in this new facility is available for men to be able to take parties, anniversaries, or anything like that. So also, Sienna has a postcard out there of all the ways to connect with the city. So I know you know how to do that because you're here, but it's always nice to share with other people. And then two other quick things. The city has to comply with Title VI requirements because we receive money from the federal government. So Title VI is part of the Civil Rights Act. And really what the government is looking for is that we've done a good job of engaging the community and that we are reaching a broad, diverse audience. And most importantly, the people impacted by our decisions. So if you're willing, it's voluntary, but there's a demographic form on paper or on table. And one last announcement. We are working with a nonprofit called the National League of Cities and Better Public Meetings. And we really want your feedback on how you want to engage with the city. And so there's another survey. And the exciting part of this is when we gather all of the data, we are going to have a mock city meeting on October 19th with some experts in public engagement. Meeting as a script, and everyone gets to change roles, like whether you're a community member, city council member, or no, and get to understand what it feels like to be on the other side of the table, and then share your thoughts with everyone for that experience about how we can do better with babies. So thank you for entertaining those ideas, and I would like to introduce our Public Works Director, Gary Schimek. And I also want to acknowledge Councilmember Joe Gomez-Moto right in the back of the room, and online, I believe we have Councilmember Sam Doyle. Anyone else? Or councilmembers? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. And first off, thank you everybody for coming on this wonderful gorgeous day. There'll be lots of time to jump in the lake afterwards. Everyone. So we're here to talk about our 27 to 32 utilities rate study. By those dates, typically every 6 years, we do a estimation of the rates we're going to need for a 6-year period. We go a guide this October, fall. Your city council will be adopting rates for 27 and 28 only. So really, just want to be transparent. The other 4 years are really guideposts. Again, they're not officially adopted by council, but it's still important that we have these so we have a roadmap to work with. Many purposes here today. So first, to explain our customer service levels and cost drivers associated with utilities. And speaking of utilities here, It's gonna be primarily, will be storm water, wastewater. I'm gonna have one slide to tell you a little about other work we do with utilities, but those are the three we're talking about today, and also called enterprise funds. We're gonna illustrate rate comparison between Mountlake Terrace and other cities. As you'll see, we're a little high compared to others in some and low in others. And overall, right in the middle. We're going to present the findings from our rate study. Want to get your feedback on these scenarios, of course. Listen to and address your concerns, questions. And just really wanted to highlight, I mentioned this last week, Jeff, the city manager, and I were chatting. Really, one of the main reasons why we're here is our council and their strategic plan. This is a big part of the strategic plan, is engaging with you. And we've seen that, but been talking a lot last year or so, and I really like being out here, but our council supports this, right? This is something they expect us to do. So, and I think that is a great thing. Okay, we're gonna take 5 minutes right at the beginning, some questions from you. We'll talk about that in a minute, and questions for you. I'm gonna give you some context about the rate setting. Going to look at existing rates. Going to go kind of under the hood and look at our operations budget. So you know what you're paying for in terms of operations. Capital is pretty obvious what you're paying for construction. And then we'll go over the findings. And what I'm hoping to do is break this up a little bit, just each section, go through a few slides and see if there's any questions. Then we'll take questions at the end, of course. Okay, questions now. First, if you have questions that you'd like to ask, that you want to write them down, and Sienna will take them at the end. Feel free. There's pen, paper over there, box, put them in. You can also just ask questions at the end too. But we want not everybody feels comfortable asking questions. So if you do, please do that. We're going to read through them. So now just 3 questions for you all here in the room, and why I'm doing this for fun is I'm going to just probably emphasize certain things a little more, a little less, depending on what you answer here. So first, how many of you, I'm going to trust you, one of you can call it later, but how many of you know what the source of our drinking water is? Raise a hand. And yeah, no, not you. What do you think it is? State Lake. Yes, very good, very good. Everett. So Everett, it's a beautiful area too. It's open to the public area. So I highly recommend you going. Okay, raise your hands, please. How many of you have lived in Mountlake Terrace for at least 1 decade? Good job. About half. Okay, and then how many of you know the difference between an operating and capital budget when we're talking about city governments? I'm not going to test you on it, but how many of you feel comfortable with that? Just a few. Okay. Thank you. The context setting here. So what are you paying for, or what are your expectations? What do we believe your expectations are? And this, I think our council has heard this, and I've heard this before, but these are really why we're doing our business, right? For water, we are here to provide you high quality drinking water with minimal disruptions. I mean, one of our goals is to, we're going to get main breaks. I'm going to tell you, we can't predict. If I could predict main breaks, I'd be a rich person and I wouldn't be working for the city. But they're very hard. I'm a computer geek, so it's very hard to tell. But when the breaks happen, we want them to last less than 24 hours. We want them to be able to fix them very, very quickly. We want to keep the sewer in the pipes and in the pump stations. We don't want to go into your homes. We don't want to go into the streets. We don't want to go into the creeks. And there's a lot of work to be able to do that. We also want to reduce the amount of sewage getting to the treatment plant. And why do I say that? We pay by the gallon. We own part of the treatment plant, so we'll get into. But what we don't want is clean water, like stormwater, roof water, groundwater getting into pipes, sewer pipes, and going to the treatment plant. We pay for that. We will pay for, and so that is something we really have an aggressive program to reduce it. And then stormwater. Of course, we want to minimize flooding along creeks and streets. But also a big part of our stormwater program is reducing pollutant loading that gets into the creeks, into Lake Ballinger, Lake Washington, to the sound. Now, I'd like to say, so we're not all altruistic here. We are required to do this by the permit, but there's work that we do above and beyond as well. So that's what we are trying to deliver to you. Now, there's probably, much more, but at a higher level, that's what, we're trying to serve you for. So again, utilities today is going to be, again, storm, sewer, water, but let me just explain a little bit of the bigger picture. So we own and operate wastewater. We convey it, we pump it, and then we actually are, you'll see below, we do have an agreement for treating as well. We don't operate that plant. Edmonds does, but we are co-owners. So the agreements, we have the wastewater agreement with Edmonds Shoreline and Lakeview. We have an agreement with Briar and Shoreline. They send us some wastewater, we send them some wastewater. It's a little complicated. Our drinking water supply, yes, it starts with Everett, but we do not have a contract with them. We have a contract with Alderwood Water and Wastewater District. And they serve other constituents like Edmonds as well. So we have a direct contract with them. We have a contract with Waste Management. They go by WM now. But that's something, while they are not city employees, they are a contractor. So they serve in a city capacity. They are the ones picking up your garbage and your recycling and your compost. We manage that contract. So ultimately, if there's a problem with their staff, I need to hear about it. And then a lot of coordination with other utilities. Snohomish County Public Utility District with your electricity, Puget Sound Energy for natural gas, and a host of telecommunications companies, some of which that you receive your fiber optics from. I talked about, what we're trying to provide, and I really think it was important these next few slides to explain, our infrastructure and assets. This is where, the money we are getting through rates, what it is helping us maintain and build. And while we're not the biggest city, you'll see there's a lot that we have in the ground right now. So for water, we have 90 miles of water main. We've got 3 rubber reservoirs, 6.4 million gallons for storage. Now, there's 2 functions. One, they provide pressure to get you the right pressure in your homes. But they're also storage in case we lose water from Alderwood and Everett. We have a 2 or 3 day supply, depending on how much everybody uses water. But it is a resiliency. Those tanks are there for when the big one hits. We have pressure zones over the city, so the different tanks provide different pressure to each of your homes. And there's these stations all over the city that you don't see. They help reduce pressure so that you're not being pummeled in the shower by water at particular locations. And these are super important to have. We have a booster pump station that actually pumps the water up to those tanks. And then, very importantly, we have emergency interties. These are like $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 grand stations that connect to Linwood, Alderwood Water District, and North City Water. In case of emergency, the North City Water is hugely important because they get their water from Seattle. So in the absolute worst case, Everett is out of business, cannot serve water for whatever reason, we still have a chance to get water into the city from Seattle Public Utilities. Won't serve all the city, but at least we would get some. So these are, highly important and very hidden infrastructure. You would not notice them. All right, wastewater, so about similar 74 miles of gravity sewer main. And why am I saying gravity? So gravity, it's not pressure, it's just through the force of nature. So the pipes don't have to be as strong as when we get to the 6,000 feet of pressure sewer mains. Those pressure sewer mains have to be very strong. It's just being basically pushed through the system. And so those are a much more costly pipes.
That's sanitary sewer?
Yes.
That's sanitary.
Yes, sanitary sewer, exactly. For lift stations, so for water, we call them pump stations. Sewer, we call them lift stations. It's basically taking water in low-lying areas of the city, pumping it, so it goes right, actually to the corner of Lake Ballinger to a pump station owned by King County. And then it goes to the Edmonds treatment plant, which is on the shores of Lake Washington. And those pump stations, those lift stations, obviously they have pumps. But they're also there in case of emergency. If there's an electrical outage, there's storage in each of those stations. So this is kind of nasty, but that's how it is, right? Sewage builds up, so it doesn't go in your homes or it doesn't go in the street. So that's why those lift stations are important. And then sewer cleanouts, maintenance holes all over the city, 2,400. Those are crews in action right there.
You mentioned that the sewer retention in Edmonds is on the shores of Lake Washington. It's on now.
Sorry, yes.
So it's the effluent from that pumps offshore to what, 100 feet or
Yes.
so?
Yeah.
Depth?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, exactly right. So the treatment train, right, so just to recap. Water from sewer from Edmonds, from Mountlake Terrace, from the Lakeview Water and Wastewater District, and a portion of shoreline go to the Edmonds treatment plant downtown. And then there's a treatment train, they need to treat it to a certain level. So it's safe to discharge into Puget Sound and into Cold Water. And the solids, there's solids that come from that station that are trucked to Western Washington and Oregon. And we are paying for all of that. Thank you for clarifying the question. And then finally, stormwater. So a little bit less here, 52 miles of pipe. We have 7 miles of streams. Now, we don't own the streams, but we are responsible for ensuring that when our pipes discharge water into it, that they're not filthy, but they are to a certain standard. Right over here, one co-managed lake with Edmonds and others, 100 acres. 2,300 catch basins, inlet, similar to sewer. And then, yeah, these are another hidden thing. 95 flow control structures and water quality treatment facilities underground. That's a lot for our city. And a lot of this, the flow control is half and half. Some it's regulation, some have decided to put those in to prevent flooding. Water quality is primarily requirement. But again, they're all over the city.
So the retention facilities we're talking about, are they the 6 and 8 foot buried pipe? And then they just set the water in?
Right, there's a few. So we've got ponds, right? So we have some stormwater ponds.
Yeah.
And then we have, these, they're, you can walk in them. There's actually, big pipe, vertical pipe. And then horizontal pipe that stores water. And then there's a long sort of tail we can get into geography later, but what we're talking about, that we can control how much water backs up or goes through the system. And again, our idea there's twofold, is to help with water quality. So we slow it down a little bit. The solids are able to sit to the bottom and we can pump them out, but also flood control.
So they're fitted with oil water separators, aren't they?
Yes. Yes. Victor?
There's a lot of monitoring very involved with that. How's that taken care of?
Yeah, it's a great, for all of these, there's a lot of monitoring and modeling that is needed. For stormwater, we typically, as we'll see, one of our line items here, consultant line item, it's a company called ADS that we hire to do that. What you see is why we have a consultant budget, it's like, I'm glad you brought this up, is, we're a smaller city. And I worked in a big city, including Seattle. And we had our own monitoring team, modeling team, we had our own construction man, we had, right, smaller cities don't, because I couldn't keep somebody busy 8 hours a day to do the monitoring. It just wouldn't make sense. So when it is required, right, we hire a consultant to help us out with that and we manage that. But that's done typically, during summer to get low flows. And then in winter to get high flows, so we have kind of a conflict.
So they're connected to all these things like in central office somewhere?
Typically, no, not yet. That's a great point. For stormwater, it's typically individual, where you get a device, put it in the stream, put it in the maintenance, so you collect data, look at it. Our water system is different. It is 100% real time. So we have flow monitors all over. It's called SCADA. It's a lot. I forget the name of that, but it's a way to get look at data real time. So it's very highly secure. Actually, it's not connected to any other part of the system. There's no cyber attack possible on ours right now. Others, because it's solely, but then we can read real time what's going on in there. Yeah, please. You are not in the least. Yeah, it's a flat fee and it's based on your impervious surface on your property. Correct, but talk to me afterwards, please, because that's actually interesting. But that is a flat fee by impervious surface. That's us using GIS, which is our geographic information system area. And so folks that know GIS, it's a mapping system. And we're able to look at aerial photos and estimate how much property. Concrete, asphalt, impervious, grass. Yeah. Porous pavement would be impervious. Right, so something that allows rainwater, stormwater to soak into the ground. Let's see. Rain gardens. Great questions. Okay, a little bit of pipe facts is it's our biggest asset really for all three when you add them all up. So back here, let's start in the 50s and 70s. Okay, so I was born in 68, so I'm part of this era. I wasn't here though, I was in Wisconsin. But this is when the majority of our pipes in Mountlake Terrace were constructed. Not all of them, but a good chunk. I'm going to go 60%, 60%. Okay, that's the left. In the middle, this is the theoretical values for how long a pipe should last when it's providing service. And we have all these types of pipes. So cast iron, CIPP, cast in place pipe, CMP, corrugated metal pipe, copper, concrete, ductile iron, high density polyethylene, and PVC. Different eras use different types, so different cities use different types, but the point is, most of the pipes we put in this time, 50s and 70s, have an expected life of 80 to 100 years. But remember, there's not a switch at 80 years. So the pipe's degrading over time. So some pipes may start to really show some wear and tear when they're 50, 60 years old, even though they can last 100. So why does this matter? Well, if we were to do nothing and not and just replace pipes when we know they're broken because of a leak, and depending on your asset, but I know the water the best for this. In about 2040 to 2044, if we did nothing, we'd have about probably $44 million worth of pipes to replace immediately. Right, on the dot, which they would be breaking during that time.
They identify alternatives to replacement, like running sleeves through the pipe.
For sewer, yes, for sewer and for stormwater, that is a great option. Water, no, because that's being
Okay.
contaminant. Yeah, exactly. But so for us, this is again a little different for every community. But if we wanted to stay on track from now until probably the 40s and the 50s, I know that's intergenerational talk here, but we want to spend about $750,000 annually on each utility, water, sewer, storm replacing pipes. And we would prioritize which ones are in the worst conditions, but if we were to do that consistently, in addition to everything else we needed to do, we wouldn't see a crash of the system, right? We wouldn't have a glut of pipes to take care of. That's kind of the proactive nature. We do not have a lot of breaks. We do have some, don't get me wrong. We have about 4 or 5 veins of water that break a year, probably similar to that. And we know where there's some really bad pipes right now that we want to fix. We are, right, but there's what we know now, right, and then the ones we're talking about in kind of in the future that are gonna go up, go ahead. So we know we are kind of being proactive with what we know now. But it's one thing to keep on going. We hadn't been for a while, and I should say that we had not been between about 2000. I've been here a couple of years, but I have done my history lesson. So from about 2006 to about 2016, 17, there was not a lot of pipe replacement. So we're catching up a little bit to there. But, if you were to give our system a grade compared to others across the state, we'd be probably at the B level. We'd be pretty high because of, 50s and 60s is relatively young. It's not, Seattle, Tacoma way back. So we're okay. But the reason I put that up there is we don't want to put our head in the sands because 2040 is not that far away, right? And if we keep chipping away little bit by little bit, then there won't be this big iceberg with some communities face.
But then we know what our infrastructure is,
Yes.
and we know that it's not that old. So why aren't we stretching that budget over a long period of time and charging the residents less for the services?
I'm sure I understand that, but try me again.
We know the time period,
Yes. Yes.
this can be programmed, this can be moved up from the failing.
Which we're doing now. Yes.
Program the remainder of the repairs and replacement of the.
Right, that's what we're trying to do going forward. Yes, exactly. So we don't have that spike. That we're going to get that we had exactly. And that's why there are spikes at times. A couple reasons for spikes. One is to pay cash to do these projects. The other is to kind of like buying a home, paying a down payment, issuing debt to do that. But that's what typically happens with spikes, and that's what we want to try to avoid going forward. Exactly. So yes, now I get you. Oopsie, hold on. Okay, cost of service. You saw this. I give a couple of talks. I think this is super important. And apologies if you've seen it before. We are a nonprofit organization. Our council members, our mayor, city manager, myself, we do not make more money if we charge higher rates. That is absolutely not the case. There's no incentive for higher rates. The only reason for higher rates is to do more work. But we do not make a profit. Our rates cover 100% of the service, and we have to prove that through audit every year. where every penny goes from our utility. Any annual savings, now the savings could be that I thought a project was gonna be 10 million, but the contractors were hungry and they got it for 8 million, and they did a great job. So I have 2 million. Well, that 2 million then goes back into our bank account, and then I don't have to raise rates, because now I have 2 million extra to use. Or I can do another project. But that money has to go back in, it either goes into the cash reserves or we use it in future. We can't just save money willy-nilly. Right, I have to have a reason. That's why we did this analysis on our pipes, because I know we need a bank account for our future pipes, and I can show it. I can show an auditor that says, hey, why are you putting money away for pipes that are gonna break X years from now? If you're not fixing them right now. So we don't have to spike up our rates. That's why. So they're in a fund. They're called, just for example, broken pipe fund, right? And then the auditors will say, oh, I get that. Very similar to one of our colleagues, Cascade Water Alliance. They're building a treatment plant in 2044, 2050. And they went through the same exercise. They are collecting money now to pay for that later, but they have to show the need for that. Because auditors are like, why are you collecting this money? Do you really need it? Because you could be charging less rates. So why? And then they have to have it in a special account.
Well, you're building surplus to cover the future.
Exactly. Okay, nonprofits, but so then what's the incentive to be efficient? Well, there's actually a lot, in my mind at least. You may disagree with me, but I feel pretty strongly about this. For me, city council and city manager, I could get fired if I don't do well. I'm at will. I want to do a good job, and I'm hired to do it, and I'm hopefully doing it. Public opinion, your opinion matters, whether you think it does or not.
I had to ask this earlier. Did you say for 2027, 2028 rates will be decided at the next city council meeting?
That the next meeting of this fall.
This
fall. Jeff, November, you're trying to.
Have you guys done a poll or a search of the country to see what counties, what cities, what their utility rates are traditionally? The top 50 of the nation.
I haven't done that because again, there's various, I'll get into later, there's various reasons why rates across the country are different. What we did do, we compared to our neighbors. Annual staff reviews, everybody has them, right? It's an incentive to do your job and do it well. Most of us are public servants and we're dedicated and we're customers somewhere, right? Full transparency, our books are open to everybody. Right, so we need to be transparent and show you what we're doing. We have financial audits every year. And like I said, everybody who works for MLT is a customer somewhere. So these are, again, I put this up here is, yes, we're nonprofit. But, I need to convince you that I'm running an efficient shop. And I believe I am, but these are the reasons why. I mean, I'm not just doing it altruistically, maybe I am, but I have drivers too, right? Sample bill, we're gonna talk about this next 2 slides. We talked about this a little bit. So you're billed every 2 months. Again, other city, I mean, this is where too, when you compare stuff, you gotta be careful because some cities do every month, some 6 months, you have to be careful with that. So water's a flat rate within a usage cost. Stormwater has a flat rate we were talking about based on impervious surface. Sewer has a flat rate with the usage cost. Let me show you the next screen with what I mean with usage cost. And again, I should say this. The money we need, the funding we need to run the utilities is independent of the structure. let's say I need $5 million a year to run a water utility. I need $5 million and I can show you why. I don't care what structure we use. It can be different. I need the 5 million. So this is a choice that it can be changed. But this is what we use right now. So water, flat rate. And then if you use 1 to 1,000, CCF 717, and so on and so forth. Sewer, you've got a flat rate and it's 641. That 641 is for treatment. And then again, stormwater is flat. And you know what I've heard, before is, hey, why don't you just do it, just usage, no flat? That's an option. Other cities do it. Very challenging because what happens is I need, let's just say $10 million. I need that $10 million in 2027. And for water, if it's super rainy over the summer, I have to estimate how much I think all of you in the city are going to use. Divide that into 11 million, and that's your bill, right? But that's based on how much water I think you're going to use. And if it's way off because of rainy summer, I'm going to have to change. I have to do something I still need that 10 million. So it's not that it can't happen. It's just a harder structure to manage. And that's something, Jeff and I talked about this. We could, discuss this in future years and kind of do a business case and show you all and city council what other structures might be. Because there are a few towns out east that just use by charge, but they're typically really small. Yeah.
And take over what we flat rate is simply so it has nothing to do with the construction.
No, that's all. So all this,
Flat rate takes care of
it, the better way to look at it is all of your rates together take care of both operating and capital. What makes it easier with the flat rate is there's fixed charges. So it's basically trying to pay for fixed charges that we know we're going to pay for every year. So you're just making it it's a little less, it's easier to predict.
Let me ask what
Yeah.
If there were a flat rate,
Right.
would we just worry about the
We could do that, but then those rates would be super high, right? Then instead of be, let's say 717, it would be $400 per CCF. Because I still need that right back to, I still need that $11 million per year, no matter what construction this is. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm trying to understand, you're talking future, what
Yeah.
So what is the money of the past 8 years done? Is it going into a fund somewhere? But I could see a lot of construction that would be anticipating.
Yeah, we'll get into all of that, but yeah, it's operating budget, yeah, which is staff time. No, that's capital.
You're saying the flat rate is going into operation?
The flat rate goes for both, but all that funding goes into both. It's one pot. Yeah, but it's to pay for our operating and capital, both. Right. Yeah, it's about for water, it's about 7 million each. 7 million operating. Yeah, but that's exactly it. So, yeah, so I wouldn't, it's not, it's more, it's better to think of this as just one of many ways we can charge you all for the service. Flat and usage. It could be all flat. We could do flat for water, sewer, and storm and have no usage fee. Could have a hybrid as of now, or we could just do usage. Yeah. Yeah, well, no, we'll get into it, but yeah, but that's important point to know. This. What we provide and the structure are two different things.
That's every single family.
Yeah. That is specific. Good point. They get billed, let's use water for an example, well, it could be water or something. The owner gets billed. Yes, it's up to them how they want to charge. Some I know included in their rent. And the people that are living there don't see that. Others get charged the bill. If you were our landlord and you have 100 apartments, you could choose to put a flow monitor at your choice on each one and actually charge people what they did. So that'd be your choice to do. We have a meter going into the apartment that calculates how much water that whole complex is using. It's really up to that landlord. Yeah, to that landlord. Yeah, but the apartment would have the flat rate and the usage. Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
is the apartment considered one of the single family residents?
No, it's a commercial. It's commercial charges are based on how big your meter is. When you get a charge for actually putting the meter in, when you just initially start, but then it's based on consumption.
So
Please.
the apartments are gonna go over the minimum, the 3,000 cubic feet or whatever.
Right. Most likely.
So they're gonna pay the higher rate for everybody in the building.
So that's all right.
It's
a good way to look at it.
They don't divide by the number of people.
Right. Yes, exactly. They're right. That's a great point to look at. No one has asked, I mean, I guess that's very interesting thought, but everybody would have to, if you think about that, then everybody in the apartment would have to have their own meter, which would be crazy. Just think about the piping. Would be weird.
Yeah, but if one house goes over 3,000, that apartment's gonna go over 3,000 easy.
Yeah, easy.
So they're paying the highest.
Yes, they're paying per consumption, yes. Okay, we talked about rate summary for now. I showed 6 years, because we're talking about 6-year forward. And yeah, it was up in your double digits. 1, 2, 3, but remember we had pretty high inflation as well. But what was this paying for? Why? What was going on here? 2 things.
Total flat.
What's that?
Is that total or flat?
That is the total rate increase. So total increase in revenues. Right, increase in revenues from the entire Mountlake Terrace. Yep. So what was happening a little bit earlier than this, like I mentioned before, 6 to 8. There wasn't a lot of construction going on, and there were hardly any rate increases. So our cash reserve is very, very low. And better or worse, what happened is a lot of the projects were pushed off to the future, weren't constructed.
So you got 6 years. The state does 12 and 20 and a 50-year.
Yeah, we're doing a couple different things. For our planning, for our system, for our needs, we do 50 years. What we're talking about today is 6-year. And then council approves a 2-year. So that's formally approved, that's by ordinance.
Okay, so they on a 2-year basis, not on a 6-year basis.
Correct.
They can every 2 years they can change their mind on what the fees, the flat rates, the consumption costs are going to be.
In 2 years from now, I'm gonna have my same study that I did this year, but I'm gonna update it. Things may have changed, right? But I'm not gonna create a whole new model, right? I'm just gonna tweak it. And then I'm gonna come back to council and say, hey, remember when I was here in 2026, I showed you what I thought the rates would be for 29 to 30. Hey, I think we can go a little less, or you know what, I think we're gonna be a little higher. Here's the reasons why, but I'm gonna use that as the basis. So what did the funding go for here, as we were talking about over there? Well, operating, so it went to staffing, insurance, building costs, consultants, contractors for minor repairs, taxes.
If you're like 150%, 8 years, basically say That's just not your concern.
Nope, that's one thing. Other thing, there's two more, paying cash for construction projects. Right, so that's, some of these revenues collected in 21 paid cash to do $500,000 to $1 million projects. The third thing this did a little earlier was in 2020, that I don't have it on here. It was for bond issuance, right? So he took some of your revenues, packaged it up, and said, please give me a $20 million bond for the next 20 years. And
Have that happen?
yeah, that was in 2020, and we're still paying debt on that. Exactly. Yeah.
So where's the construction?
Up there, what we're finishing, we're a couple right now. If you go to West Side Water Main, right, that's one of them that's on there. Yeah, so there's like, I can provide that too. We're gonna be talking about projects going forward, but I can share that too. So 4, 5, and 6, a little less. And this last year we did a 3% across the board, and inflation is 4.5. Just Carolyn and I talked about this today, Deputy City Manager. We put a couple of these in just to remind you, construction costs are going up. This is the construction index all the way back to 2009. It's getting more costly to construct. And national snapshot here, as I had in the slide, 4.15% change.
Contract on.
We have to, yes. Important point. Being a nonprofit, we put out a bid. This takes up a lot of time, and it's the engineering here. You're very safe. This is life safety. Put out a plan set. So if you're the contractor, I'm giving you plans. This is how I want to construct, and 700 sheets sometimes. You then are going to give me a bid by line item on what you think it's going to cost. I'm not showing you, but I have my estimate, right? That I think what it's going to be. But I'm giving other people in the room, right? But they're not sharing, right? They're going back, they're doing it, and we open up the bid. And for better or for worse, I've seen the worst, I've seen good. We have to choose the low bidder. And sometimes they lowball. Have to justify it, and if there's any red flags, we could say, you know what? Edmonds just hired these folks, and they did a terrible job. But that's part of it. But yes, it is. It has to be competitive. It's public bidding law. So.
Do you think database performance review?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Is it?
That's a great point. There's other parts of our work we have to get through bids. Here it's cool bucks, right? There can be, now, the question is if we get one, and it looks good, we're gonna get questions like, do you really think that's a good bid? So it's kind of like we have to prove that we think that is good. And what we would do is we would compare it to other, but we don't like that though. We want competition. We want healthy competition, please. If you're in construction. Another thing, Carolyn had me, Association of Washington Cities, AWC, great organization. Talking about think tank database, they're, I can go on and on about them. They're great, but it's why are costs increasing for cities, just at a high level? Inflation, insurance, with me, I'm shocked at how all of our utilities pay for insurance for the city, infrastructure costs, staffing costs, adjustments for wages, overtime. And this is statewide, this is not just.
So that was from 2024 to 2025. What's the?
Great. No, what this was a survey, I'm sorry. So these numbers here are showing from the survey, and I don't know what the end number was, how many cities. But what reasons their city is seeing increased costs. So 84% of the respondents said inflation is their biggest concern. Yeah. Great point. Okay. To comparison here, we're talking about existing rates on the next few slides before we get into any proposed changes. And again, I believe, as we'll get through here, it's better to compare against neighbors and region because we're facing the same things. It may not be fair to compare a bill to Arizona or something else because they may have no regulations or very lack regulations and might have to spend very little dollars on their treatment. So you have to be very careful when you're comparing, not that you can't, but you have to take things into account. Here, we're all in the same playing field for the most part. So we did jurisdictionally, similar location, Linwood, Edmonds, Shoreline, Bothell. And also similar sizes. Mercer Island, Bainbridge Island, Oak Harbor, Bonnie Lake.
Why aren't Mill Creek and Muckle Field, they're clean inside?
These are the ones we chose. Yeah.
Why?
Similar size, similar location.
How hard would it be to get with Muckle Field? I don't.
We could, but we have to choose, we chose 10. Chose 10. Oh. That too, yeah, but we chose 10 to do. Which ones were you referring to?
We have a lot of slides to get through and a lot of the questions will probably get answered as we go along. So if you don't mind just letting us cover this section and we should have time for more questions at the end.
I can just quickly get that one, but Alderwood Water District example, the district. So it sends bills to cities. Cities don't send the water bill out for wherever Alderwood is. And one of their places is Mill Creek. Okay, so single family, we're high, a little bit high in water. So we're under Mercer Island, but everybody's a little bit lower than us. This is existing, right? Existing. And some of the reasons has been the West Side, Other Main, and other CIP projects that we've done. And our water supply costs from Everett and Alderwood have been going up compared to others. When you look at it combined, so this is bi-monthly, right? Storm, sewer, water, and we're assuming, right, if you go back to those graphs showing the different usage rate, we just assumed 14 CCM, which is a typical single family home. When you add all three together, we're a little bit above the middle at $399 every 2 months. And the range, Edmonds, 343 up to 528. Now, there's some reasons why we're all different here. Distribution of customers, single family, multifamily. We have about 45% single family, which kind of the mix. Mercer Island has a very high single family, and that probably kind of led a lot to their higher water bill because they don't have a lot of big users. They don't have a lot of big users. If you have some super big users, they're going to take a brunt of the bill, right? Take a little load. You were talking about the apartments, right? If you have a lot of apartments, a lot of water use, they're going to be paying the majority of the bill. It's a lot of consumption. But this is just one way to look at it, just how meaningful is everything here. Then again, just another way to look at the comparison of where we are. And a little bit tricky towards the high. And this is a bi-monthly, single-family residential, for water. Okay, another way to look at just what we want to do and why we went through this exercise. Is there something we could be doing differently to be lowering the cost, right? Compared to other places. So what can we learn? Is there, right, what is the difference? This shows our other operating costs. So this does not include water supply, but this includes staffing, repair work, cars, insurance, building expenditures, fleets. So we're a little bit on the higher end, not too much, but it goes from a low of about 4,100 to up to Shoreline with 8,900. You realize, yeah, Shoreline was, you go back to Mercer Island. What's interesting, right, is their costs are relatively lower, but they still have the highest overall cost. So for Mercer Island, this is not driving their business, right? This is not driving their rates. Staffing. I mean, this is, do we have too many staff compared to what others have? Gotta look at that. We gotta open up the hood, right? And no, we're probably right kind of in the middle. Now, Mercer Island, yeah, they're a little bit higher. Bainbridge Island, 2.57. Now, there could be reasons for that. They might have extra regulations they need to take care of. They might want to be doing, maybe they do modeling in-house instead of hiring consultants. So just don't look at it and say, oh, they're using too many staff. There could be reasons. This is just an overview, right? But important to look at. Capital funding and debt issuance. So this is, we're talking about debt before. So this is an annual water utility debt service as a percentage of the water rate. So you don't want to have it too high. You want to be issuing a lot of debt. But Bainbridge had to. And, one of the reasons I don't know if it was, I have to say, I don't know if it was an emergency and they didn't see it coming or if they kept punting. But they needed substantial upgrade to their water system. Had to, or else no development, right? So in order to make it a little less painful on their customers, they took out a large bond. So we were talking about 20, 30 years, so probably 20, 30-year bond. So instead of raising the rates for cash, probably would have had to been 50 to 70%. They probably raised it 15 or something, and they took that and they bonded them. And that's why, but others, we're in the ballpark here. That's a difference. Mercer Island, they don't bond. They pay, I was at Issaquah, Bellevue. Bellevue didn't bond for the longest time. They paid cash. They have huge savings account, but they don't, it was their philosophy that they didn't want bonds. So you don't have that asset ratio if you don't bond that. Now, again, that's
a large amount of business though,
yes,
and they charge their business.
very much, yes. This is a double-edged sword though, too. Remember, if we talk about intergenerational equity, these assets last 50 years. So should we just be paying cash and charging you all in the next 10 years? Or should it be spread over? Right, so that's why that's a argument for bonds. I'm not saying that's the only argument, but then that spreads it over a longer time, 20 to 30-year period.
The bond rates is low, aren't they?
Well, typically municipal bonds are much lower than mortgages. Typically. Yeah. Okay, now here we go. Another way to. This is choice. This is another choice point. Capital facility charges. When a new development, single family home, commercial business, apartment comes into town and they make a new connection to the water system, stormwater or water, there is a charge, and it can be thousands of dollars, can be thousands of dollars, can be tens of thousands of dollars. Why? We're not being unfair. Let's see, you've been here a while, you've been paying rates, let's say 20 years. This new person that's coming in, or new entity that's coming in, needs to catch up and invest in the system. They haven't invested in the system like you have. This is basically what it's doing. It's saying, hey, you give me this capital charge, $6,000 right up front, and you're good. You're part, welcome to the club. Welcome to the water use club. From then on, they pay like you. But this is their charge now. We do that, King County does it. Some would say, Linwood at the time, we don't want to do that because, you know, if we do that, no one's gonna develop here. So we're gonna not charge. Okay? It's a choice. Right? It's a choice. They're the only ones around here that have done that. And I don't know if they're still doing it now. This is from earlier, late last year.
Doesn't a lot of that relate to zoning that the city approves? They're not zoning for business, then they're not gonna collect those rates.
It's somewhat independent. The capital facility charge is independent of where it is in the city. It's based on the size of meter. Oh, that's what it is. It's the size of, you're back to your apartment, right? Put an apartment in, you're gonna have a larger meter to pump through water to 300 people. So your capital facility charge is based on your meter size, but single family home is a small meter, relatively small meter, so you're not paying down. But again, this is a choice, back to like the rate structure. This is a choice that we can tee up, city council can choose to raise or lower this. But there is a formula that is used for this if you choose to use it. Okay, so those are existing rates. Now we want to get back to operations, right? So some of you raised your hand before what you knew it was, so we'll get into it. Okay, so for water, these are very formal accounts. These are federal accounts. I can't make up my account and say, oh, I'm going to charge this year like these line items on. Not even the account has a number, and then the items within have a number, and they're like 20-digit numbers. And this is where our finance, bless our heart, they work on this. Carolyn, what is it called, that document? FARS code, thank you. There is a code for all of these line items. And they tell you what can be charged, and every year they come in and they look at records to make sure we're charging it down to, you know, some of them at $10.
The feds do this?
State.
Okay.
But IRS does make it, they do show up too. Okay, so the key accounts for water, very similar to wastewater. Water supply, that's our purchase. We were talking, someone mentioned before, that is our purchase cost, $2 million about per year. To who? Only to Alderwood Water District. That's, we are charged, we pay them. Now, they get their water from Everett, so our bill is based on Everett's cost. If Everett raises their rates, that gets passed down to AWD, gets passed to us. So right now, yeah, just forget the construction, please. But I do want it, I have it on here for a reason. We have 7 million on average for at least 26, and this has been pretty stable. $7.1 million for to fund our operations, our day-to-day work. 27% of the operating budget is water supply. If you look to the far right, some numbers in red that I'm very concerned about, and you've probably read it in the paper. On average, over the next 6 years, we are likely to see every year between 15 to 25% spike in that line item. Why is there a range? The lower range is, well, there is a range because there's currently a disagreement between Alderwood Water District and Everett on how much of the system that Everett operates is because of AWWD.
Whatever that number is, we have no control.
We do not. But that's going up. And the reason it's going up, and it's gonna go up no matter what, hopefully it's gonna be in the lower end. This is where you gotta be careful, like with things go up and low, up and down. Everett has many major storage projects that they're constructing, over $300 million. And it has to be done or we will not get water. They have to do this. They've pushed it out as far as they can. They thought one of the tanks was gonna be a minor repair. This is the beauty of engineering. Once you start digging in and seeing around, like, oh, everything's corroded, this has gotta go. The tank's gotta go. So, while the costs are legitimate, I'm here to tell you the costs are legitimate. I'm concerned about the distribution, right? So is AWWD, but that's the other thing. So that's going on. What we're more in control of is our engineering and our distribution, which I'm keeping as flat as possible. So for engineering, that's our salaries, it's our benefit. It's the consultants we use. So I'm gonna talk about flow monitoring, helping with our design, surveying, insurance cost. It's about 23% of the budget. I'm projecting it to go between 3 and 5%, kind of with inflation. So that's our engineering folks at City Hall. Distribution is our crews who are working sometimes in the middle of the night. Salaries, benefits, there is a city utility tax that we have. I think it's 12%. That's part of the water distribution. Our fleets, right, paying for maintaining our vehicles, purchasing new vehicles when needed. We have a great mechanic, by the way, he's awesome. System repairs, contractors, that's 50% of the operating budget. And I think that those costs, I'm a little worried about the insurance up there, but I think 3 to 5 is good. I feel good about those.
You have a year by year one study in all three of those.
Oh, yeah.
Back to
Go back to 2006. Yeah. Talk to me.
Is there any way, I saw it on the last slide too, the city utility.
Yes.
So is that something city council decides how much?
Yes, I believe, and then I look back here and I believe that's yes. And again, that is part of what goes into the general fund for Mountlake Terrace. And one of the reasons we just don't have a lot of businesses in sales tax. And this is one that goes to fund our lease and other general fund utilities. So, and what I could do, what I have, I didn't have it on here. I think we have it on the slide. I can't share that. I have the utility taxes for all the other cities on here as well. Edmonds is at 25%. And they did that because of various reasons, but that's not going to stay at 25, but they did an emergency 25%.
Oh, if I'm not going to turn here, what percentage of the city's budget is paid for by the utility?
Ooh, I don't know. I'd have to get you back because what we would do to answer that. What I would do was take that city utility tax and some others, and then I divide it by the total, but I don't.
The total budget the total budget for the city is made up from sales tax, from utilities, from one or two of the.
And we have all that information. Yeah.
So I can get that.
Oh, yeah, all this budget stuff, too, if you want to be a real budget geek like I am. So it's actually a really good document. Yeah, I know it's a budget document. Search for 2005-06 City of Mountlake Terrace approved budget. Biennial budget.
It's on our website, CityofMLT.com.
It's so easy to work through at a high level. It's actually great. I did a number of cities.
What's the heading? Folder that's in.
We'll let you know after. Okay.
But it's good. Seriously, it's good. It's good document. Now, water construction, 8 million, so 50, so basically, someone was asking. back to your rates, right? All the rates that come in through your flat fee and your usage fee come into a bucket. And those are the two where they go. They go here. Right, so overflow $15 million in 2026 for water. So if this makes it easy. So if you were to say, hey, how much is water supply? You basically divide it by half. So water supply for the total budget is about 13%. And construction is about 15%. Total budget. Sewer can be very similar. Instead of supply, we have treatment. Okay, now we are part owners of the treatment plant. We own 30%. We don't operate it. My friends at Edmonds do, and our staff can help if needed. But we own shares. We pay for capital improvements and operating. So we're kind of charging ourselves in a sense, but we're paying Edmond to run it. So that's 36% of the budget, $3 million a year, but it also includes, we have a complicated sewer system, people. Briar and shoreline. So some of our sewage goes to Briar, and then it goes to King County. Some of it goes to shoreline, goes to King County, both ends up at West Point Treatment Plant. Believe it or not bright water. So we have an agreement with them, and every month they give us a bill for treatment. That's why you see the number in red. Our treatment plant, I'm not too concerned about operating costs going up higher. There may be some capital work, but our friends at King County, like Everett, they're spiky. They're like 15 to 25% every year for the next 5 to 6 years. Minimum. Thankfully, we don't, it's only a portion of our bill. So I'd say Edmonds treatment is about 2 million. The other two are about 800,000. So thankfully, we're not seeing a 15 to 30% in there. We're only seeing 5 to 10 because it's kind of diluted, but it is a concern. Same sewer engineering, collection maintenance again. By our buyer's code, salaries, benefits, consultants, what do consultants do for sewer? Same thing. Help us design, help us survey, help us do monitoring, environmental permits, collection maintenance. That's again our crews that actually do the dirty work in this case. And again, you see our city utility taxes under here again. So very similar, 44%. It was 50% in water. Sewer's a little lower in construction, and the reason we have a lot more work to do. We didn't have cash. We don't have cash to do the projects we need to do. We're behind. So that's all we could do this year.
With the $40 million bond.
It was for all three. But even with that bond, it didn't take into account all the needs for sewer. And again, so 10 million total. So a little bit less than water, right? So water about 18. And then storm. Okay, storm's a little bit easier. We don't have supplier treatment, right? It rains. So I'm sure there'll be a tax on that. So we have sewer engineering, sewer maintenance. You can see it's really about maintenance here. For engineering, it's our staff. We have some fees to pay for a permit, but it's relatively low. Education outreach is a big portion of stormwater, trying to educate folks what not to put in the creeks and streams. And again, I don't see either of these two going up. There again, because back to something, we're in control of these for the most part. Right? There is a permit, but right now, for us, thankfully, our stormwater permit is about operating. It's not about capital. And for the part that is about capital, I don't think I have it up here. We have a $5 million grant. Yes, grant, not a loan. So, hooray for us. And that's what you see in that $5 million. Well, that actually $5 million is for something else, but
Yeah, state or federal grant.
State. Yes, ecology.
College.
Yeah, it's very. Very proud. Okay. Our scenarios going forward. And this is preliminary. And in you first here, and then, you know, what I just jump back why I'm here. Talk to council, you know, a long time ago, and that was the plan to come here first. Before we go to council on September 10th and talk this through. So we're here first. So we did 3 scenarios for each of the utilities. And I'm gonna show you the rates and then also the projects, and I want feedback on the projects. So for water, 3, 6, and 9% increase, this is per year. For 7, 8, 9, 30, 31, 32. So 3, 6, 9 each year. What would that give us in cash for CIP? So this, this is an important point. I'm committing to keep operating dollars as low as possible for each fund. And any rate increase would not go to paying for more operating. It is what it is. It's kind of, it's the baseline. What any of these rate increases would pay for are capital projects, and we'll show you a list, but that's what we're talking about. So if we raised the 3% kind of beating inflation, maybe a little less than inflation over the next 6 years, 3 years every year, we would be able to have 10 million over that period. So not every year, 10. That will allow us to do about 6 projects.
Capital project.
6 capital projects, yes. And we would probably defer about 11. Right? What's 17? So if you add these up, they all go to 17. 17 is the number of projects that I believe my staff and our consultants could conduct in the next 6 years and keep us on track with having a high quality system that we're not going to have super big spikes in the future. Okay. At 6%, we have 17 million. We'd be able to do 12 projects, defer 5, and a 9% each year, 23 million. And we'd be able to do 16 and 1. So what are these projects? This is where I really would like your input here. Okay, what I'm going to let me tell you what I'm going to ask you. I'm going to go through these are, I've tried to make, I'm not going to get into the details of any one project. I've tried to make them really clear what they are. But I'd really like to hear from, you know, the room, some hands, and we'll do something here of which projects are most important to you from what you've learned today, what you know about, what I've explained the system. So if we do 3% every year, we'll do 6 projects. We will complete a seismic retrofit for our big water tank. It was constructed in 1970. It met all standards back then. It doesn't meet earthquake standards now. So it would go down in a big earthquake.
So is it the structure or the foundation?
The foundation. Again, back then, it met all criteria. Our Main Street Phase 2 project, yes, it's a transportation project, but this is, I love using the sort of piggybacking. We're replacing old water, sewer, and storm pipes as part of this project. So we don't have to open up the ground again. So I love doing this. But we're able to place a water main. I mentioned to you this grant project that we got for stormwater. It's paying for all the stormwater, but we have the opportunity again to replace the aging water main. So we would do that as part of that project. And then we would do 3 additional water main projects similar to what you see out here, a West Side water main. I don't know what the priority would be. I've got a number of projects to choose from, but we do 3 additional aging water main projects, about $1 million each, so that would be $10 million. Okay, what we wouldn't get to at 3%, I've got 3 more aging water main projects, I'm dying to have done. A pressure, we talked about pressure relief. There's a pressure relief system that needs to be upgraded in the 570 zone. Got 3 emergency interties that I'd like to do. One is with Edmonds, which we don't have. One is with Olympic View. I really want because they have their own water. So I would love to have a connection with them. And the last one is an improvement to our North City water intertie, which we get more water from Seattle. But each of those are about $1 million to $2 million a pop. West Side Water Main Phase 3, continuing doing Asian infrastructure. And then, oh boy. We have 3 water mains crossing I-5 right now. Constructed in the 70s. But it's not good, right? In a quake, they're down. So there's ways, what we would do is either, we would probably actually put them under I-5, believe it or not, rather than try to reinforce them, but
Big crossing on the.
yes, yeah. And cost estimate, probably about 15 million a pop. That I can't answer. Can't answer that. Okay, so that's at the 3%, okay? We take it to 6%, we get everything above all these 6 projects. Plus we get, well, yeah, again, these could move around a little bit, but this is kind of from an engineering, public works director perspective. Again, we would take advantage of other projects going on, so there might be a reason to do something else, but this is in terms of risk management. We would do 3 additional aging water projects. We do that pressure relief, and we do 2 interties, probably over Olympic View, I'm sorry, and North City.
Where's the 3 aging water meters?
There's about, I have a list of about 15 that I'd like to do. So we would decide which, there'd be 3 of the 15 to do. We have a kind of a queue where we know that there's, why are they priority? Because a number of our pipes have broken and we have bans on them.
So the one you need to do first.
Yeah, very, yeah. Thank you, Les. And then if we did 9%, basically do everything. Probably could, you know, we do those interstate projects way late, 2032. But we couldn't get to one of them. So let's take this quick shout out here, and you know, we could follow up on this too, but from the projects I described here, just which ones, like, you got to get that one done. I don't care which category they're in, but is there 1 or 2 that really resonate with you? Like, you guys got to do this to do your job.
I don't understand the Main Street phase 2. I don't know what phase 1 is. What's phase 2? What's Main Street?
Yeah, Main Street is on, I'm blanking on the street, 58th. 56th, thank you, between,
236, well.
Thank you.
Phase 2 and 3 are 56. 56th Avenue is phase 2.
56th Avenue from 236 to 236.
and the idea is we're opening up the street. So it's bare ground. And the pipes need to be replaced. So let's do it now. So, because in 5 years, if we wait, then I have to rip out the street again. And
Is that just like the 3 aging ones?
it is, yes. Yeah, they're all aging, yes.
Just the same age?
About, yeah. Yeah, so, thoughts? Oh, good. It's cost, right? It's $15 million each. I know. Yeah. Well, and we're looking at other ways, you know, what we want to look at too is do we have is there anything we can think of operationally that we could just lose those three and put it in pipes elsewhere and not have to worry about it. So we just want to reduce costs. But you're right, it's a risk that's sitting out there, right? Just like the water tank, right? We know when the big one hits, there's gonna be issues. But what I can tell you is we plan for this. If it does happen, I mean, it's not gonna be pretty, but we have a response.
The thing that said in the blue happy came out this last spring about affordability. Most of the people in this room are old enough to probably have the income to sustain this, but not like it. You talk about intergenerational fairness. Young people definitely get. Yeah. I know people who have looked at places here and saw the water. Wait a minute, that's $4,000 a year.
That's true, but water not everything.
And I'm sorry, but I have 4 kids. They all make a lot more money than I do.
But part of this is right. Yeah, and this is right, what we want to get this is choices. I mean, because a couple of council members in line. These are not, I would. Right,
What's the difference in cost if you did what you said and you don't go over I-5 and you do it a different way? And if you interfere with I-5, does, I know our taxes went up, pay for the light bill. Is that something that you could get other funding? Yeah.
Well, they're not making us get out, but they're not gonna help. We have 3. Yeah. Same for sewer. Same. All right, so mulling that for a little bit, let's look at sewer. Similar, that point, as many, but 3%. Got us 13 million, 12, 11. 6%, we get raised 19, 15 projects. 926, let's look at actually what we're talking about here. There is one big caveat before you look at this that I have to tell you about. I'd be very honest, and I'm very active in this, as are my colleagues. There's a current wastewater rule that's being somewhat implemented. It's a nutrient rule. Let me first say, and I know this city is the same thing, I want to protect Puget Sound. I'm an environmental engineer. I want to protect Puget Sound. There is a rule going around. It's called the nutrient rule. The goal is to protect Puget Sound by lowering the nutrients that are discharged from the treatment plant. And I'm on record already, so I'll be on record again. I don't believe in it. I don't think it's worth the cost. I think there are better ways to do it. If that takes place, we probably have a $12 million to $20 million project at the Edmonds treatment plant. And our share will probably be 5 to 6 million. That's not included in this because I'm fighting like heck to make sure it doesn't happen. But just give you a caveat.
So it's not as simple as just moving the discharge deeper.
It has to do the whole process. It's the nutrient process. So we'd actually probably have to build, they have some, anyway, long story. Happy to have coffee with anybody if you want to hear all the details of my argument against it. But what will we do? Okay, the 220th and Main Street project, some road we talked about. We're replacing aging pipe because the road's open. Right? One of our lift stations, there's again pumps water. Wildomere in the northeast corner of the city. It's aging. I don't know how our crew are magicians, how they're keeping these pumps running. These has anybody heard of what's it called? Something planned obsolescence. That's when you work with a company and you're really good friends and then all of a sudden, oh, we don't make that pump anymore. So that's happening here. We're just doing our best to keep it running. Inflow and infiltration, very important to keep flows out of the treatment plant. That clean water, which we talked about, right? That's going to help all costs. And then 6 aging infrastructure projects. Again, I don't have names for this because we have a long list. It would be based on where they are in the city. So that's what we would get done. 14 projects at 3%. So that's pretty darn good. Go to 6%. We then add in 3 additional. That should say sewer, of course, not water main. That slide's wrong. I'm sorry. I have to fix that up. But these basically would be aging sewer projects is what it really amounts to, the 18 and 19. What has happened in a lot of our sewer, there are, as we talked about it, cracks that allow a lot of water to come in. And again, there's a couple things that happen there. You have the water in the treatment plant. But then we have a possibility of sinkholes when we get a lot of water that can't make it to the pipe. So those would be the projects we'll be looking at. A storm, again, what's not included in this cost, $5 million for the grant. So which is great. And I'm here to tell you, I really do, we have an excellent crew. And I believe we're gonna probably see additional grants in stormwater over the years. The 3%, $20 million, 8 projects. 6%, 25 million, 12, and 9%, again, a little higher. Oh, please, yes,
Well, 9%.
yes. Oh, right, this, yes, in our yeah, in our model, we have that all covered. It's not,
It should be.
yeah,
And what, we have 3 parts to it. So that 3% sewer, 3% water, 3% storm, that means 9%. But 6, that's 18%.
yes.
You know, you-
So with storm, again, we've got the piggyback project, Main Street Phase 2, new storm system, new infiltration system. What we're currently starting and getting out to bid next month, there's about 6 locations of very deep, difficult sewer pipes. Some on private property that we have easements for that we're gonna be taking care of, and that'd be about a $5 million project. The 220th water quality I have listed here, but remember, we get a grant for those. We have a water quality project. There's a sheet dam that is very near the Primera campus, which is really not serving anything. And it's actually creating flooding, so we're looking to take that down. In the northeast corner of the city, Wildermere, there's a pond right next to the pump station that basically is filled. We'd like to get that back up and running to promote water quality. And then it's an effort, but it's very costly, and I'm capitalizing the cost here. Citywide pipe video inspection. So we actually get video cameras into the storm system. We have not done that a lot at the city. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna find there's a lot of pipes in need of repair. But that's, that back to the miles of pipes here. Remember, that's 52 miles of pipe. So that's like $3 million project. It is a project. And it's really all about aging infrastructure. And again, the reason why we can take care of our system as we want is we currently do not have requirements from ecology on what we need to do for water quality. Which is great for us. We're just ahead of the game. So that may be coming in the future, but we're. Okay. All right, so this is the number in the show and tell here, right? Of what we were talking about. We didn't do any hybrids. We just did 3, 6, 9, just so you're aware. So if you go back to that graph we had where we compared to all the other cities, we were at 399, right? So what we did is, and this would just be, for next year. 3%, 6%, 9%. Again, we can run other numbers as well here too. It just says for example, you would see water going from 158 to 162 bi-monthly. Sewer 181 to 186 bi-monthly. And again, based on assuming 14 CCF and then flat fee at 59 going to 62. So. All right, that is a lot of information and I really appreciate the questions going along. So I know we had questions written down, we took questions going on, but I am here for you. We may need to wrap it up online early, but I'm gonna stay until the last person leaves, so don't feel rushed.
Before we end the meeting, we had a comment online that someone says the I-5 water mains seem like a priority. Just want to share that.
Oh, no, I think we heard that here too.
Do we have a grant writer on staff?
Uh,
The grant.
But we have, I think that's a great question. Yes, we have it's not her full-time job, but part of it is grants and contracts. And she's very good. And one thing I can tell you, and Jeff sends us out every couple of weeks, we have our eyes on the prize on grants. Yeah, we do, and we actually have, thank you for mentioning that, we currently have, I'm on the Public Works Board too for the state. Before I was on it, we had a public works loan for $7 million for a project. We've had other public works loans, have received loans from county. We are on the lookout for that, yes. That is part of our core business. While again, it's not a full-time staff. Given our size, it's adequate. Thank you for bringing that up. That's how we got the
Other volunteers somewhere?
baby. How about you?
There are several grant, I didn't say your mind.
Yeah.
Is any of this work, able to be done with the help of the Corps of Engineers?
No, unfortunately, I used to work with them quite a bit. They're just not in our area. Let's put it at that. I can explain why more, but they don't have any they need to have a jurisdiction. Like, for example, I work for City of Renton. They owned the levees on the Cedar River, so they can participate. They also did a lot of work on this another river I'm just blanking on. But they have to have some infrastructure to be able to participate. But if there's any reason you can think of one, talk to me. Oh, that was, yeah, that was, yes, there was a portion of that because of the floodplain, yes. Yeah, good point. Yes.
Got a question, that video inspection of the sewer.
Yes.
Do those guys work 40 hours a week? Does that truck go out every day? How often do they do that?
So we internally do it, our staff does it for wastewater. And we go out, yeah, it's out every week. It's not dedicated, they do other stuff. But what's great, we talked about this last week, this is the good part about AI, and I can tell you this is not taking jobs away. We're able to take those tapes that they create with the camera, and they're inspected using an AI routine. So we don't have to have a person looking at all these tapes. Instead, they can do more video inspection. Now, there's still a human kind of doing the QA QC. No, we said actually a camera, they do the camera.
You do it.
Yes,
Because we had a blockage on us.
yeah, no, we do that all the time for blockages. If we hear of a blockage, first thing we do is we inspect your pipe. Yeah. Any blockages, call me. I need to know about it.
Yeah, I want to vent the blockage.
Yeah.
I want them to go, I want to check.
No, we do that. We do that proactive. That's part of our work. It's proactive.
Well, that's the guy told me that at the deal, and I said, if they were doing a proactive, we wouldn't have had a blockage.
Well,
They said the roots were growing.
it takes us,
To take for the roots to grow back. And
it takes us 3 years to go through the whole city. So
yeah, but if the roots were growing in there, wouldn't you go back and rock?
we do. Yeah, certain places. What's called a preventative maintenance ticket. But yeah, there you go. We do not want you to have a backup.
I just had one more question.
Yeah.
Like the power company, why don't they bill monthly instead of bi-monthly? Because it's, you bill it all at once.
I don't.
Yeah, you can.
Yes, oh wait, I'm sorry.
Take it out of.
Coming back to you. So you can, one. All the Wood Water District. Only from Ever. What, actually, do they have any other wells? No, I don't think they have any other wells. They get it from Ever.
Charged.
Yep.
So I don't think we can afford a 6%. I realized it's something you have to do with the cost of water.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the city definitely should have that alternate cost of leeway tie in with, giving water. At some point, if ever prices go up.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
Before, yeah.
Okay.
Is that our responsibility or is that one of the?
Oh, well, yeah, I know the others. Let me know about it. Oh, yeah, okay, I'll talk to him. Jared. They did fixing it.
Yeah.
I'll at least talk to them to figure out what the issue is. So I'm away. Yes,
Just a suggestion. I would think with AI, there's more things it could do. Different.
one thing that we're looking at, but it's far off. My son actually does this for a living. It's very complicated. It's using AI to predict where water main breaks would happen. But it's coming, but it's 10 years away. But-
To use.
Yeah, no, that's something we're looking at. It's that balance of where. Everybody be careful when using AI, right? You don't get good results all the time. So always check yourself. But we are, as a city, but as in our department, really looking at how can it benefit us and keep your rates lower, right? Thank you for bringing that. All right. Well, that was a lot. Thank you, and we'll be available online, and I'm always available, right? My numbers, email is always available. This is like a lot, but this is the most important. Besides hiring the right people, this is the most important part of my job, is delivering a rate package that I hope is understandable, transparent, and right for discussion. Thank,
Say your last name.
Schimek.
Schimek.
Schimek. Schimek?